you're reading the title right. I did indeed go to jail. It's not something I ever thought, would come into fruition. It's not something I even thought was ever probable. It's not something I'm proud of, and I think that if I end up going to jail again, because of the case finishing, I think that I would maybe come out of it a better and tougher man. Not to say I need to go to jail in order to become a tougher man. I think that this whole process has already made me rethink things quite a bit about my life. It's made me take life way more preciously, I'd say. My life used to be, I'd say, quite good. Not in the way that I didn't have problems, I don't want to go too deep, but let's just say this, for example. I went from a child who used to get my head thrown through walls, from a child who grew up way, 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 way below middle class. I'd even say way below poor. A kid who had no privacy, who even when he got a place could not have a, door on his bedroom, to, being able at 18 to 17 and 18, 19 to live in his own place with a girlfriend for those 3 years. So I went from, peak, not in the fact I didn't have to work hard. I was working hard. I was even door knocking. I think I have videos of me door knocking. I was door knocking on hundreds of doors a day, selling stuff. At one point I even, sold the stupidest thing. I sold fish. I sold fucking fish door to door. Think about that. That's quite autistic, to be honest. And I went from a peak of life to being thrown in jail, and because I got handcuffed in front of my apartments kicked me out. So, what happens when, you grow up poor and then get kicked out of your apartment? You then become homeless. Yeah. It sucks. Being homeless is not fun. It is not optimal. It's definitely not great. So, right now, as of now, I'm not gonna, talk about my situation, but I'm okay. But, sleeping in the back of your fucking car is, not fun. It's not great. It's cold. Last month was January. I remember sleeping in my car for a night, and it was so cold. I had no heat, no gas. I could not turn my car on to even heat it up. I was getting fucking frozen alive. And I'm just thinking to myself, where the fuck has my life gone? I've always heard people say, I've gone through hell and back. And I'm in my head, I'm shut the fuck up, that's cringy to say. I still don't even want to say it now because it is still kind of cringe. But fuck, man, I have gone to the fucking bottom. Poor as shit, in debt, from having not six figures, nothing crazy, but multiple five figures, being just fine, to getting legally robbed from legitimately earned money, to broke, poor, in debt, homeless. And fuck, bro, I'm actually surprised it hasn't, it affected my psyche in the way that it should have. I'm surprised that my fucking neurotransmitters are still firing as fast as they do at this point, when quite, my my neurocrine system, my hormones, all that shit has been fucked up, quite sufficiently, in a predominant way that I wish upon no one at all, ever. And it fucking sucks. It does. I would not want anyone to have to go through what I've gone through. And you know, I was watching something last night about these people that live in, I think it's like Somalia or something. And I sat there fucking bawling my fucking eyes out, dude, because I'm like, fuck. I felt like I just went through fucking hell. And these kids have it way fucking worse. Like, what the fuck am I even complaining about, dude? You know? What the fuck am I even complaining about? I was born in America, sure, like, I got the fucking shit beaten out of me, whatever the fuck, dude, like, I've gone through the weirdest shit in life, bro, and, like, it's not, like, 1/100th of what these kids have gone through, and, you know, I'm a fucking selfish fucking piece of shit for even thinking for a second that I've gone through something hard, you know? And I think I need that, because when my cortisol starts to spike, I need something to bring me back into reality and be like, yo, Joey, your life really isn't that hard. And I don't want someone who grew up middle class and never had a single fucking problem in their life to be watching me being like, oh yeah, you know, I guess his struggles aren't shit because there's someone who's had it worse than him. No, like, come on, if you grew up like that, you've never been through what I've fucking been through, so don't even, you know, might as well fucking click off the video. You know, I actually feel for what those kids have gone through. I could probably feel even more I could feel it even more, have more empathy, have more sympathy, because I know what it's like to go nights in a row with never eating. So I at least know what hunger feels like, you know? And I know, you know, a decent amount of men who have never even felt hunger. And I'm sorry, but yeah, it's, you know, you don't want to judge people, but I do, you know, biasly, unconsciously, or subconsciously, I don't know, I judge them a little bit deep down, because it's like, fuck, dude. You're just fucking privileged as fuck. And then, nor have you ever, you know, even tried to go through something hard. I remember when me and my ex, we'll get more into that, but when me and my ex lived together, she could vouch for this, even though we don't, you know, communicate because of the restraining order, but, you know, she could vouch for all the times I would do something wrong, you know? Let's say I took a hit of a vape, which I wasn't supposed to do, because, you know, it's nicotine that's bad for you. I would put on my boots, heavy ass boots, pants, and underneath the pants, I would put on those leggings, you know, those leggings, put on long sleeve shirt and a hoodie in the middle of 100-degree summer, go out, and I would run until I couldn't run no more. I would run until I could not feel my body no more. I would go out in the middle of a field, football field, run back and forth until I counted 100 times, and then I've done like 1,000 push-ups. I would go until my body couldn't stop, and no one could fucking keep up. I would have people do it with me who couldn't even do fucking half of what the fuck I did. And the only reason I did that was to put myself through so much pain that it would lower my dopamine system, so anything after that day felt so fucking good because I was so fucking grateful, you know? It's kind of like putting yourself in the position of like a homeless person, to then know how great a home feels. And, you know, I didn't mean to do that, but I also did that, you know? And I'm grateful to every single fucking night that I have a place to take a warm shower. I'm grateful anytime I get a chance to eat something. Dude, I've always been this way, but whenever someone has handed me a plate of food, even in jail, I am beyond thankful. You don't, like, how the fuck, it's actually crazy that most people don't know what that's like, and they go through life not thankful when they're handed a plate of food, which pisses me off. Do you know how fucking thankful? This is gonna make me cry, bro. Fuck. Do you know how thankful I was when my, when my sister, when my sister, who doesn't even agree with me on most things, bailed me out of jail with a fucking expensive ass bail price, and then provided me with one of the best weekends that I've ever had, by taking me on essentially like vacation and paying for my food. Fuck, dude. Okay, sorry. I actually gotta wipe my. Yo, I'm sorry. And paying for my fuck, dude. Fuck. And paying for my food, dude. It's so weird, bro. Cause I grew up my whole life never being able to go out to restaurants, never being able to really like ask, hey, parents, can I or parent, dad and all, parent, like, can I go to that taco truck and get me some food? No, that wasn't an option, because that costs money, for fuck's sake. And that was not in abundance. Financial abundance was not a thing growing up. And fuck, I hope this audio isn't bad. I don't even know if it's picking up audio. If not, I guess it's not meant to be. I'm just ranting to myself. My point is, I was so grateful when my sister did that for me, and for her to look out for me. Yeah, I love her, and I love her to death. I love, anyone who looked out for me. I have a friend and a friend's family member, who, I have two friends. And two of their family members, really, really looked out for me during this whole thing. And I don't know what I would have done without them, I don't. And, thank God that, they were put into my life. Sorry, so, I'm really sorry about this. I just don't want to make any cuts. This Christmas, I expected to spend alone in the back of, I expected to spend alone in the back of my 4Runner, and, sleep in the back of my car, and, do absolutely nothing. I was just gonna, chill and watch some YouTube. Maybe watch a Christmas movie on my phone in the back of the car. And instead, I gotta have, a great Christmas dinner with some great people. And that Christmas dinner really opened my mind to a lot. I don't really want to go into detail, but it just made me, think that kindness is, really the most important thing in the world. And I feel like I've always showed people kindness because I've always believed in karma. Not that I've never, fucked up and made mistakes and, shown people the opposite of kindness, which, sometimes I look back on my life and I think, Joey, you deserve death. You've been a piece of shit at times, and you deserve to die. Not in like the I would kill myself way. I would never do that. I'm just saying as in like, and the only reason I can't kill myself is like I'm spiritual, So even if like it's just totally against my religion, I don't want to go into religious details right now, but that would be one of the biggest sins, and I can't. But kindness is really important. I've always said yes, sir. I've always said yes, ma'am. Probably given over, which at my point in life is a lot, but I've probably given over away $10,000, to the homeless, just fuck, I really shouldn't have said that. I'm not trying to, you know, whatever. I'm not trying to make myself seem like a good person. Let's go back to me being a shitty person. I've been a shit person, but I try to be respectful as much as possible. And every single day that I live, I try to go on being a respectful person who only spreads kindness. I would never say that I spread hate on a day-to-day basis. I'd say the times that I am ever a dick is usually to my friends, because I love my friends enough to be dicks to them. As in, like, whether some people think this is wrong, sometimes I'll be like, ha, you fat fuck. In order for my friends to improve. And, like, while I don't think that typically works on females because, you know, they tend to be more emotional, you know, from my perspective in life and from what I've noticed, you know, one time I called my mom old, and, you know, she cried. And I did that because I watched a girl call her dad old on a TV show, and she would do it all the time, and it was funny. And I'm like, you know, I wish I had a dad to go up and, you know, make jokes about him being old and him not taking well. And I did it to my mom, and she cried. But I was such a young kid at the time. I cried too. When my mom would cry, I would cry. I don't know why I used to do that. It was just kind of like an emotional trigger. You know, also sometimes, never mind, I don't want to go too into that. Yeah, I'm kind of getting off topic, but that Christmas was the best Christmas I have ever had in my life. And, you know, I was technically homeless. I did not have a home during that Christmas, yet it was the best Christmas of my life. And I'm thankful for the people I was surrounded by that Christmas and the people who helped me out more than, you know, more than they'll ever know. And I'm sorry. I'm really just, I haven't slept in you know, a few days, so I'm sorry for this. I think I'm more emotional because I haven't slept, but I've just been working 12-hour days, you know, trying to pay off my debts. Let's go back to the main point. Let's stop all this. You know, being locked up has taught me the most valuable lesson, and it's just that I appreciate life so much more now. And, you know, at first it scared the fucking death out of me. So, you know, I've definitely, you know, I'd say dedicated my life, you know, to being a better, more hardworking, more honest person. You know, just the complete opposite of ever doing anything bad. I'm not saying I've done all the bad that they're accusing me of or anything. I'm just simply saying I'm going to be a much better person in the future. And, you know, it's going to be weird because I know that eventually I'm going to make more videos. I know people are going to come back to this video, maybe clip it, maybe, you know, call me a pussy. I really hope, no, you know, like, no future girlfriends watch this. I really don't like seeing, you know, anyone seeing me cry. Anyways, this year has been the hardest year of my life. I'm just going to go over it a little bit. You know, maybe just so I could watch this video back one day. So if you don't feel like watching it anymore, don't. I really don't give a fuck. I just want to, you know, have this as like, what is that thing called? A notebook, a diary to look back on. I'll tell you guys the story of when I got locked up. So, I'm I'm in the crib. I am sorry, my battery just died right there. So I'm in the middle of going to the bathroom, right? And I'm going to the bathroom. I hear a knock on the door, a rather aggressive knock, like a knock I'm not used to. You know how you're used to knocks. And so I finish going to the bathroom. I get out and I put on short shorts, like shorts that I sleep in, so they're not like, you know, shorts that I would have rather put on. I walk out the door. They supposedly read me my Miranda rights. The black cop puts me in handcuffs. And the reason I'm saying the black cop is because everyone in this town knows the black cop. I think he's a pretty chill dude. I like that cop. He's probably one of my favorite cops in town. I know every cop in town. This is a small town, less than 10,000 people. And he arrests me. They luckily grabbed my Air Forces. I'm in Air Forces with no socks, no shirt on, nothing. It's just warm outside. I'm smiling ear to ear. Because, dude, I'm thinking this is about nothing, Again, I can't go into the court details, but some of the stuff is just, blown out of proportion, There's evidence photos of what's going on with dog period blood in the evidence photos, So, that can kind of tell you a little bit of, how some of this is a joke. If you look at the photo, it is obviously dog period splotches on the ground. I'm not going to go into this. I'm not going to go too much into the court, details. But I'm getting arrested, and I'm just smiling because I'm like, what is this for? I'm gonna, be out. There's nothing I could be getting arrested for right now. And I get arrested and put in the back of the cop car. I still have my phone in my pocket. I don't know. I thought they were supposed to take your stuff away. Doesn't really matter. I don't really care. And then the cop starts listening to Joe. I don't remember his last name. But this podcaster, and I just thought it was super funny. Oh, Joe Budden. I just thought it was super funny. Out of all things to be listening to, he was listening to Joe Budden. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Budden, but that's okay. To each their own. And we were just listening to him. I was listening to the podcast. I was just enjoying it. Sitting back, chilling, and just asking him questions, chopping it up. And then we get to the place. They search me. They spread my legs. They do all the blah blah blah, and take my stuff away. And I get thrown into a cell. It's chill. I just start doing push-ups. I really have nothing else to do. Not doing push-ups because I'm going to get ripped. Literally just because I have nothing else to do in the world. Eventually get moved to another cell. And then people start coming in. You just hear the craziest people, dude. This one girl just cussing out the cops. Being like, I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. Another guy coming in. He starts screaming bloody murder. And speaking only Spanish, screaming the whole entire night, bro. Come on, dude. He's obviously drunk. He's obviously an immigrant. He's gonna get deported back to Mexico, and thank God, because he's so annoying, dude. That guy was drunk. That guy, I don't know what he was in for, but I think it was violent because, dude, he was just banging on everything, trying to get out is just so annoying. He kept me up all night. Eventually, a cop started playing, some country music. I was super happy for that because my brain was going crazy. So I started singing along to the country music. And, yeah, that was my experience in jail. The next morning, I got, bailed out. $10,000 bond, bail, whatever you call it, I don't know. And my sister released me. And I hugged my sister, hugged my mom, and it was awesome to be out. I got hit with charges. They're public, so I'm pretty sure I can say what they are. But domestic abuse, manufacturing of drugs. I don't understand that one. I'm assuming it's. Never mind, I don't want to go into detail, but manufacturing of drugs, which was the dumbest one by far, because I have nothing insinuating that I have manufactured any drugs at all. Sure, may I have smoked a little bit of weed in my life? Yeah. Is that a crime? No. Actually maybe it is, but that shouldn't be, enough to get thrown into jail, it's not, manufacturing of drugs. I do have an maybe like an inkling of why that would have been, but if it was what I think it was for, then it's stupid. It shouldn't have been that charge. It makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever, but I don't want to go into detail about that because open case and everything. But yeah, and then kidnapping because I picked someone up. Apparently if you give someone like a piggyback ride and they didn't even give you permission, and you moved them while giving them a piggyback ride, that could be considered kidnapping because you did not have their permission to give. Like, they didn't go, oh, give me a piggyback ride. You just, hunched down. They jumped on your back. You gave them a piggyback ride. Not saying that's what happened, but, I don't think what I did should be considered kidnapping. Yeah. And I'm not going to say, am I guilty or not guilty of any of those charges? I cannot say. It is an open case. It is pending. So I'm not going to talk about it. There's no point in talking about it. What I will say is, overall, I think that I do better for the world, than negative. My point is not to leave a negative impact on this world. And I will say that I think overall I'm respectful to every girl that I come across. Does not mean that I do not say harsh shit. I'm a very abrupt person, but that does not mean I wish any any harm upon anyone. I'd say I'm rather blunt with my words, whether that's because of a lack of a father in my home, or my mom just teaching me the wrong things, the wrong ways to go about life. I also think I'm rather autistic. I'm definitely autistic. I have tendencies that are insanely autistic. I am just constantly studying and hard focused onto one thing at a time, and it's insane how autistic I am. Even my hobbies are super autistic. And because of that, I do think that I lack empathy and lack sympathy, for people who I don't know, and there's almost like spurts of it where I'm more empathetic than not, and sometimes I am more than not, but it's kind of like a, how should I say, I'm nice because I look at reality objectively, so sometimes when it comes to subjective being nice, it's a little bit harder, sorry, my lights just went off, but for example, karma is objective in my, well, I guess it's subjective in a way, but I think it's objective because that's my view on life. So I actually think it's objective. Whether you could argue it's subjective, but karma to me is objective, and that's why I'm a kind person and treat everyone with respect. I think sins are objective, stuff like that, So obviously I try and go and, treat everyone as well as I can in life. So yeah, I cannot go too deep into things in that case, but it's whatever. If I cannot prove to the court, doubt in what they say, who knows, I might end up spending time, I might not, might get house arrest, might have to pick up trash off the side of the road for a long time, might have an ankle monitor, might get probation. I don't know at all what's going to happen, and as my lawyer's talking to me about this stuff, I just don't know this whole process, dude, at all. I don't know what the outcomes are, and I think no matter what the outcome, is, I think I've already learned my lesson a ton. I've also learned other things, like always keep cameras in your house. Always keep texts. Always keep tons of backups of stuff. Always, just purely be nice. Don't be anything other than nice. I've learned a ton of things. I'm never gonna, uh, I don't know if I should say this, but I think it's like obvious. Every teenager has drank and smoked in their life. I will never touch anything again ever in my life. I don't want the neuroplasticity, the neuroplasticity in my brain to even be ruined. That's the reason I haven't touched it in a long time, anyways. Like, you could even ask, the girl, my ex-girlfriend, she knows how much I hated all those drugs and stuff because of the fact it ruins neuroplasticity in your brain and how toxic alcohol is, how carcinogenic it is to your brain. It is absolutely one of the worst things you can do. And I don't judge anyone who does. I just simply, prefer to be smart. I prefer to have intellectual, intelligent, high IQ conversations, and ruining my brain is not gonna be inducive. I think I used the wrong word right there. It's not gonna be comprehensive. It's not gonna be beneficial to my brain in order to do any drug whatsoever. Even beer, like, it's very, very carcinogenic, and not testosterone, but what's the other one? It's estrogenic. It's very estrogenic. It turns you into a female. I do not like beer. That stuff is gross. It's really bad for you. So, I'm not a big fan of that stuff. Anyways, I gotta start wrapping up the video. It's getting pretty long. I love you guys. I love you guys for watching this video. But yeah, I'm not gonna, continue to do anything that is negative at all. Just positive, straight on, being beneficial towards society. I'm thinking about quitting my job right now simply because, I needed a job bad, but I just got offered another job. But even my job, dude, it's like kind of killing me knowing I'm making, I work at a brewery and I make alcohol for a living, essentially. And that's not, helpful to society. In my opinion, I think actually it would be better if we all didn't have alcohol in society or have it so widely spread. I don't think it's bad every, holiday to have a glass of wine. But I do think that it is bad to be high or to drink. Like, imagine this. Imagine you come home and on the weekends, every single weekend as a father, and you drink, right? You don't beat your kids. You're a good father. But one day, someone breaks into your house. Now, you've been preparing for this moment, You have a Glock 19X, sits right by your bedside. You pick it up. You pull. The robber, the person who's robbing you, sees you pulling it. He pulls out his gun. You both shoot. You both miss. Right? Again, you were about to both shoot again. You miss. He hits you in the head. You've been training for this moment, but you were drunk. Why were you drunk? Because it was fun? Because it took the edge off? I always want to have the edge. I always want to be ahead of people, Like, why wouldn't you want to be ahead of people? Why would you want to live a mediocre life? Why, when you could be using those hours you're drinking to benefit the life of the people around you and your family, would you continue to drink? It just doesn't make sense. And I'm working every single hour. I am not working to hopefully make money. I'm going to go start, whether that means I'm eventually going to start door knocking like I used to do, but I'm doing tons of research right now every night. I need to be in a better position again one day for my family, and, the going to jail thing, going to prison thing scares me for the fact, maybe I won't be able to, help people. And sometimes I doubt myself because it's like, is it even worth trying when I don't know what the future holds at all for me? But I still have to do it anyways, and just accept that if it happens, it happens. And yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a human. I have anxiety, my cortisol spikes, stuff like that. But I am not going to let that affect my life forever. I've been under a surreal amount of stress. My endocrine system is definitely fucked up. You know, I get pimples all over my face. I don't want to even. I think my hair might be thinning. I don't even want to put that into fruition, so I shouldn't have said that. I take that back. But you know, my testosterone is, you know, I don't like, this might be TMI, but I don't get horny anymore, dude. It's just because I work such freaked up hours all the time. My cortisol's constantly spiking, you know, my glucose is spiking because when I eat a ton at one time because I won't eat the rest of the day. It is absolutely messing up my body. I know for a fact my testosterone has dropped. And I hope, you know, one day I get into a position where it's a lot better again. You know, and message to a girl. I'm not going to say which girl just in case. I would tell her that she was the most beautiful person I have ever met, on the inside and out. I think that whoever she is with today treats her as well as she could possibly be treated, and I hope that she gets spoiled every single night. I hope if this girl has dogs, beautiful long-coated dogs, that those dogs that I miss so much, that they are getting treated so well every single night. They are getting absolutely fucking spoiled. And I hope that when I die I get to see those dogs again. And I hope that she is doing beyond well, because she was one of the smartest girls I've ever met, and I hope that she follows her dreams, or I hope that she's already living them. I hope that everything she ever wanted comes to fruition. I hope that she gets the kids that she wanted. I hope she gets the white picket fence that she wanted. And genuinely, she was one of the most beautiful, smartest girls I have ever met, and to this day I have not met a more intellectual woman my age. And you know, I wish her the best. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And even though I will never see that person again, it is totally fine with me. It's just simply, I just want to put that out there and, you know, put some peace out there. But yeah. Fuck this year. I'm gonna end this video off with one last story before I go. So right after this happened, I stayed at my grandma's, and I was planning on staying there until I got my own place. I only got to stay there like, I don't know, like a week. There was a terrible storm, and a tree. While I was at work, I got off at 2 a.m. I come back 2:05. A tree landed on the house at 2 a.m. So like right when I got off work, 2:05 is when I get there. My grandma is trapped inside of her room, and I go to open the door. I realize it's trapped. The tree is pressed up against it. So I open the door, and it opens like this much. Nothing. It opens nothing. Yeah, like this much, like 6 inches. And I can't fit through that. It's impossible to fit through that. But my grandma is in there with asbestos, you know, the worst kind of filling, you know, to keep your house warm, insulation to keep your house warm. And my grandma is already sick as fuck, and she is dying in there. You know, she is coughing bad. Her throat, she went to the ER after, is closing by the second. or her lungs are. I don't remember which one. And I know she's dying. Like, she's coughing. Like, she sounds like she's dying. She's doing like the, whatever. Like, dude, I squeezed through that door. Impossible. I don't know how. The adrenaline rushing. I squeezed even my head through that door, which is impossible. I immediately run past my grandma. I throw open the window. I kick the blind. And then I bring my grandma to the window. I dive head first through the window into the bushes. Then immediately get up, pick my grandma up through the window, and walk her outside in the pouring rain and the wind that is quite literally knocking us over back into side. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was the fucking craziest night of my life. Because my grandma, could have died, and she already has almost died multiple times. Which has made this even like a harder year, and it scared the shit out of me. And so this is a message to you, God. Thank you for putting me there at the right time, because I could have been working later that night, and there was nobody around that could have gotten her out, in time. So thank you for allowing me to be there. And I love you, God. I've had some difficulties trusting whether you exist or not this year, but I love you, and thank you for keeping my family alive, and thank you for keeping me alive, and I will do right by you, and I will continue to do right by people who keep entering and have been in my life. And if there's anything you need me to do, just tell me no. But yeah, love you guys.